Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. This year, we have our annual guest back on. Well, maybe not annually, but
I'm pretty much semi-annual by now.
Right,
Yeah.
and but you come on here every year to talk about Brewfest. And our guest, once again this year, is Dr. Les Lockridge. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Have you, in past years we've joked, some years you've brought out the worst in the weather, but particularly one year at Brewfest, you welcomed in, I guess it weren't a tornado or a hurricane, but it seemed pretty close to it.
It felt like a Durango. It was out of nowhere, out of a beautiful day. We had this sudden microburst. And this was when we were having it at the brewery, and there were just rivers running through Brewfest.
Right.
And then maybe 30 minutes into it, it stopped, and it was blue skies and sunny again, and stayed like that for the rest of the day.
Right.
We've had a couple episodes like that in Brewfest over the years, none as violent as that one, but it's always the same. It's just a short period of time where the weather's really bad and the rest is beautiful,
Right.
With the exception being last year.
Yeah, last year certainly was not a washout as far as the weather goes, but you were fortunate to be having it at the new venue at the barn at Top of the World, and so everything was able to be held inside.
Yeah, we were doing things outside, but it wasn't a beautiful summer day.
No.
It was about as bad as I think weather can get in Vermont in July. It was actually it was in August last year. It was mid 60s and cloudy and intermittent rain.
Right.
So people went outside. We had the horse and buggy rides, and we had the tent outside. And the food was outside,
Right.
So people went outside, and there was some outdoor activity, but not like it is when it's nice weather, when it's that really flawless Vermont summer weather.
But on the flip side, because of the barn, which isn't your stereotypical hay barn, it was once a hay barn, I think last year's event, particularly it being relatively new there and coming off of COVID, I thought it was a real success.
Oh, it was great. Everybody had a fantastic time. I don't think anybody was kept from coming. I think everybody that planned on coming came, and we almost ran out of parking spaces. Everybody just stayed inside, listened to music, ate food, drank beer, and danced. Right. It was. I think there was as much fun last year, or more fun than there ever has been.
Right. I know I've often joked, every year I think I joke that we're going to make our grand appearance and we're going to sing as a duet, but I have a feeling I don't know about you, but if I sang, people would be donating to get me to stop.
I think that I'd do better off rapping. Not that I'm a prodigious rapper, but it would at least keep me from singing.
Right, right. Despite last year's weather, I think it was a lot better than the year before, where we actually co-hosted it on TV and on radio because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so people watching or listening to us drink beer was probably not nearly as fun for the listeners and the viewers. So
now the virtual Brewfest was fun for the participants,
okay.
But it's so much better to have it live.
Right.
It's so much better to have patients and friends and everybody there and kicking up their heels.
Right. And I always put this in every year. You think of Brewfest and people might think like maybe a mini Woodstock or something, but that's not what it is. It really isn't. It's a time to listen to good music and just sample local or regional craft beer. It's really not a time. Nobody goes there to get drunk. It's to go there for for regional beer, regional music, for a good cause. And I'll let Dr. Lockridge explain what the causes are.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like nobody's ever gotten buzzed at Brewfest, but it's not a sloppy event. It's not somber, not in any way, but it's a very, I don't know, sophisticated event. The beer is great beer. It's not, guzzle beer, and the food is great food, and it's quality over quantity. And the friendship is very real. The warmth is very real. Everybody gets a chance to come out and be themselves, even people that are very sick, and they get some time to actually live their life the way that they want to.
Right. But don't scare away people with the term sophisticated, because it's not too sophisticated, because I'm allowed to attend and I'm not very sophisticated.
It's not sophisticated like that. It's not formal.
Right.
No.
And a lot of the people that are benefiting from the proceeds of this event, not all of them, but a lot of them are cancer patients.
That's true. The Brewfest is a charitable event, as you know. It's for the non-for-profit arm of our corporation. We are a legitimate 501c3, and the mission is to provide funding and support for the unseen costs of healthcare for patients in Orleans County and beyond. So it's a broad definition, but I think most of it has served cancer patients, cancer survivors.
Right. And your practice is?
We're NEKHO, Northeast Kingdom Hematology Oncology here in Newport.
Right. And you do treat people with cancer, but you also have adult internal medicine.
That's right.
Right. And there's another beneficiary of this event, the Halo Fund.
Oh, yes. We partner with the Halo Fund over the last few years, and they've been very generous with us in terms of their time and their resources, and in particular the use of the barn at the top of the world. If you haven't been there, it's a real dramatic venue. It is as beautiful a view as I think that there is. And Todd and Hillary have done so much for us. Our missions really overlap, so it's a good marriage in that sense. And we're like-minded. We're community-minded, and we're motivated by the same things. Right. So it's been a great partnership, and I really have to thank them for everything they've done.
And that is Todd and Hillary Wright, and they own the barn at Top of the World, and now the chapel at Top of the World. Now, you're
as well as Pie and Pasta and the Florist.
Yeah, right. And I think we now know. I know you've been waiting for 50 years to get married, and you now have found yourself the chapel. So now you've got to take the other. You got to find yourself the person you're marrying, and there we can do Brewfest at the same time. It's
54 years, and I think that that's a pretty good sample that will predict the future.
So how many years has Brewfest been taking place?
This is the 6th, and it's over the years garnered so much funding, and that funding has gone straight to the patients We don't use any of the funding to pay like officers' salaries or buy infrastructure or anything like that. We have expenses like any other organization, but they're almost infinitesimal compared to the fund. It's usually just pizza for the committee members when we have a meeting, but the rest of the money goes directly to patients of Orleans County, directly to local individuals and to local causes. For instance, some of the money that we have in the fund right now has been designated for the Reno Foundation, which, if any of you have not heard of this, it's a really exceptional organization that reaches out to youth through outdoor adventure, and in particular challenged youth. And a great portion of that group is going to be youth with medical problems. But we have lots of uses for the Patient Caring Fund. In particular, co-pays, prescription drugs, gas cards for people to get around to different consultants and different treatments. We've even, in some circumstances, paid for dentures and glasses and wherever we see a real need with one of our patients. We've paid for some respite, a wide variety of things, and it's sort of reflective of where healthcare is these days, that all these things are left out there as kind of dangling participles that have to be addressed and have to be paid for. These are difficult times for a lot of people, and a lot of people are struggling emotionally, struggling financially, struggling health-wise. People have really suffered from some of the stresses that have been put on them lately, and of course there's been a pandemic. People have been left, I feel like, more vulnerable to the cracks in the medical system these days, and that vulnerability has come right when they can least afford it.
Right.
And things like the Patient Caring Fund, where we can give directly back to our population, directly back to our locals, and we can actually identify the types of problems that we want to address and discretionarily help those people out. That I think is a major mission and a great thing for the community.
Yeah, because just the struggles that people who have to survive, either not only the patient but the families, the caregiver, of people with chronic illnesses. Until you've walked in those shoes, you have no idea what it's like.
Well, it means you work 24 hours a day.
24 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
and not only is it physical, it's emotional, and so any little bit helps. I know I read sometimes people say, well, but they have insurance. Why do they need help? Well, insurance doesn't cover things like, typically, at least, you might be able to tell me I'm wrong. Like when you live in the Northeast Kingdom and you have a early chemo appointment, a lot of times you want to go down the night before. So if they don't have room in the there's a house down there that where people can stay for free. You end up going to a motel, but if you tell them you're there for the hospital, they'll usually cut you a really good deal, but it's still money. And then
And nothing is cheap now.
and the price of gas. So there really is a lot of things come into play when it comes to battling, whether it be cancer or some other dreaded disease.
Yeah, we're at an interesting and challenging place for health insurance in America right now. We're seeing less and less coverage with higher and higher premiums, and those two things are going to conspire to really put a hole in the bucket of the healthcare dollar. And boy, treatments are expensive too. Prescription drugs, particularly targeted cancer therapies or immunotherapies. My flagship example was for many years was a myeloma drug that was $25,000 a month to take.
Right.
And regular people can't afford that, at least not for very long. And the idea is longevity. And it's sometimes challenging to get those things covered, at least to get them covered completely. You think about a 20% copay on $25,000 a month. Well, that's still $5,000 a month.
Yep. So every little bit counts, and you probably don't have too many people who take advantage of your generosity, though, do you?
Boy, it's hard for me to even really think of one.
Right.
And the reason is, for the most part, we know these people.
Right.
And we know what they're going through. And typically, we pay the cost of whatever it is they want covered directly.
Right.
And if we give someone a gas card, we know that it's going for gas.
Right.
So there's very little leakage of funds. It's pretty much all legitimate usage.
Right. All right, we only have about 10 more minutes left. As for Brewfest, what exactly is it? Are you having different breweries come and different musicians?
Yes, like every year, Brewfest centers around beer, food, and music, with beer taking the top billing. We always have local Vermont breweries contribute, and Kingdom Brewing always contributes. Brian and Jen Cook, they're going to be giving again this year, and as most people know, they're excellent brewers, so we're looking forward to that.
What about this Todd Pronto character, the producer of this show? Will he be making an appearance this year?
Yeah, I'm afraid we're going to have to open our door to Todd again.
And he's going to be once again performing. But I also know the subject is very near and dear to him, as his mother passed from cancer, and he's been a big supporter of Brewfest.
He sure has. We owe him an awful lot, especially the year that we did the virtual Brewfest. I think he did 50% of the manual labor involved himself, not to mention direct musical contribution. But yeah, Todd is going to be there. He's going to have a band playing. It's Todd Pronto and Friend, rejecting my suggestion of Todd's Without Hats. We're gonna have excellent food being served out of food trucks. We're gonna have Wright's Fry Wagon there. Gonna have the Pizza Mobile, the Brick Oven Pizza Mobile from Pie and Pasta, and I am currently working on brokering some smoked meat for the event. So the return of smoked meat to Brewfest.
Right. And there's a fee.
Yeah, there's an entry fee. There's ticket price, and it's $30 for individuals, $50 for couples.
And what do they, just real quick, so they'll get food, music?
They'll get food. Well, the food is food trucks, so that's a la carte. You get music and you get beer tastings. We're going to have tasting tickets that come in commemorative glass. You get to keep the glass. We're going to have koozies for the glass, and the tickets are going to get you beer tastings at the different breweries setups.
Right. So who are some of the performers other than Todd and Todd without hats or whatever you call it?
Well, Todd's definitely the headliner, but we're also going to have Mark Shelton there, Mark Elvis, and we're going to have Mark Hyman, who was there last year. Anybody that heard him play knows he can really rip that guitar. Cats Rockin' Country is going to be there. So we've got a good musical lineup.
These are all local musicians.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's excellent local talent. We have great music at Brewfest every year.
Is this something you look forward to every year?
Yeah, I would really miss it. In fact, the year that we had to do it virtual, it really was still a big void. Even though we had fun doing it, it's not the same. I get to see all my patients, in a happy occasion, and a very positive backdrop, and I don't always get to see that. When I see people, they're usually sick or at least weak, and when people are at Brewfest, they, like I said, they get to be themselves and live their lives the way that they mean to, that they want to, and that means a lot for a doctor.
Yeah. And on the positive side, you did get to spend the day with Todd and I.
Yeah, you guys were great company. and the dog was equal company.
That's true, yeah. Do you envision that this will be a thing for the future too? You're going to continue?
I have no intention of stopping. It's too much fun. And I think we really do something good.
Right.
It really feels good at the end of the day.
Right.
I know that Todd and Hillary feel the same way. I know everybody in my clinic feels the same way.
Right. I'm going to put a little spiel in. I just want to say I'm going to ask people to come this year on a personal basis. I have somebody in my life who has benefited and who continues to benefit. And so please consider coming, because this person knows full well what the donations mean. So, if you haven't been touched by cancer, you probably don't understand exactly what it's like. And not only the money is helpful, but also just knowing the community is there. So I'm gonna put it out there, not as just a host, but as a person who understands. Please come out and please help these people as they go through their battles.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. That's a great perspective to put on this. And I want everybody to know sponsorship spots are available. We've got several different levels of sponsorship, and donations of any kind are welcome. Cash or merchandise, vouchers, that kind of thing. We have a silent auction, and we always need fodder for the silent auction.
And they can contact
my office. We'll have all the specifics about the event and about the sponsorship availability, and that's at 334-7177. Everybody, probably say that again, 334-7177, and maybe we can even get it to scroll underneath the screen.
Right, yeah. Well, we got the technological wonders of Todd Pronto, so
the specifics for the event, it's July 9th. It's going to be from 3 to 8 o'clock, and it's at the barn at the top of the world. Like I said, if you haven't been there, you've really got to see it. It's an extraordinary place. And if you don't know where that is, it's on the Quarry Road in Derby. I believe that it's 1073 Upper Quarry Road.
And if you don't know where the Quarry Road is. It's the turn headed towards Derby Center right before McDonald's. So, and it really is. It's probably the most beautiful venue that you will find in the Northeast Kingdom. The view is worth it just in its own. Okay, any more words?
If you don't remember any of that, go to McDonald's and follow the signs.
Right. Okay. And thank you. Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.